I'm always a bit suspicious when somebody on YouTube makes a film called How to Double Your Sales or How to Treble Your Sales, or, well, in this case, How to Quadruple Your Sales, because I think it must be some kind of scam, or maybe the person who's making the film is into some kind of sales thing where you watch the film for 5 minutes and then at the end of it they try and sell you something. Well, let me promise you now, this is not a sales scam. I'm not going to sell you anything at all. This will not cost you anything. And if you're prepared to invest literally just 5 minutes of your time in watching this film, then I'm going to give you a little tip which could potentially quadruple your sales. And the reason I'm quite confident about that is because I know somebody who actually did this, and they quadrupled their sales in the space of literally 3 months. It involves me telling you a story about a real person, and for the sake of this film I'm going to call him Timothy, which isn't his real name because he might be watching this, I don't know. Timothy is a handyman, so he does quite low level plumbing, electrical work, plastering, a bit of joinery. He also does work on windows, repairing double glazed windows. And that's how I got to know him, because in part of my business life I sometimes have need for handymen and people who can do this kind of thing. So I asked him to help me repair some double glazed windows, and I always like, when I have workmen doing any kind of work for me, whether they're plumbers, electricians, whatever they are, I like to watch what they're doing so I can learn. Because I'm quite good with DIY and stuff myself, so I'd just like to just see how they do things, and I chat with them. So I got chatting with Timothy, and I said, "Are you very busy at the moment? Do you have much work on?" And he said, "I am absolutely inundated. I've got so much work, I can't cope with it all," which is brilliant, really, because he can charge more, he can take on new staff. He can maybe go off, have a holiday and subcontract some of the work. So it's brilliant having more work than what you actually need, what you're able to cope with. And he said something really interesting. He said, "Well, yes, but this is just a new thing for me. It's a new phenomenon. It's literally only in the last couple of months that I've had this much work. Before then, I had enough work to cope with, but not really that much. And now I've got 4 times more work than what I can actually cope with." And I mean, I run a business consultancy, I run a marketing company, I do some business studies lecturing at local universities. So I was absolutely fascinated by this. I was like, how on earth have you quadrupled your sales in the last few months? What has happened? What has changed that your sales have gone up so much? And his answer completely shocked me, but it got me thinking on how you could apply this to your business, how I could apply it to my business, how we can all apply it to our businesses. And it's something that's just so ridiculously simple. It's something that literally won't cost you anything at all, or if it does cost you anything, it'll literally be just a few pounds. And it's so simple that when I tell you what it is, you're going to think, "Oh, is that it? Is that all it is?" But it's true. It's an absolutely true story. So what was it that Timothy did? What simple thing did he do that quadrupled his sales in just the space of a couple of months? So what happened next was something that really surprised me. Rather than answer my question, Timothy got out of his pocket a business card, and he said, "Here, have my business card." And I said, "Oh, it's okay, thanks, I've already got one of your business cards." And he said, "No, take it. So I took it, and I said, "I've got 2 now." And he goes, no, you haven't actually, because the other one you've got is different." And so I got out of my pocket the card I'd already got of his, and I looked at it, and they both looked the same. And then he said, "Well, look a bit closer at my new business card." And I did, and I noticed what was different, just one thing, and that is he'd added to the business card his home landline phone number. And I said, why did you do that? And he said, I just thought I'd see what would happen if I put my home number on, my landline number. And what happened was just incredible. My sales quadrupled in the space of just a few months. And I was just absolutely shocked. Now, don't switch off here, because the business advice I'm going to give you isn't just to put your home number on your business card, although that can sometimes help, but that's not the advice. I got thinking, why is this happening? I wanted to know the reason why his sales had quadrupled just by doing this one thing. And as somebody, I work as a part-time business studies lecturer at local universities. I run my own marketing agency. I do a bit of marketing coaching and consultancy. So I wanted to know the psychology behind it. And I started doing some research. And I was hitting a brick wall, because whenever you look up anything like this on Google, it just talks about privacy issues and data protection. It talks about Data Protection Act and GDPR. And all this kind of stuff about not giving away information. And Timothy had done the exact opposite. He had introduced some personal information to his marketing. And then it clicked. I worked it out. It's about trust. How do you win trust from your customer? Because especially if it's a new customer, if it's somebody you've not done any work for, then the first thing you need is to get their trust. That is how marketing works. That is what marketing's all about. It's about getting the trust of the customer. You have to get that first. There's an old thing that we teach actually in business studies about the process you have to go through to get a sale. And you begin by meeting somebody, then you get to know them, then you get to like them, and then you get to trust them. And you have to do it in that order: meet, know, like, trust. And the trust bit is the hardest bit to achieve, to get somebody to trust you. Now, it's fine once you've made a sale. After you've done your first sale, that's absolutely fine. But to get that first sale, you have to get somebody's trust. And the way Timothy had done it was by giving a bit of himself away, giving some personal information, saying, here, if you need to ring me for example, some plumbing work, some urgent electrical work, if you need something doing urgently, you don't have to ring a business mobile number that I'm not going to answer until Monday morning. Here's my home number. You can just ring me at any time. And this is where I live. This is my home number, my personal number. And that, just doing that one thing, had introduced an element of trust. And that's what you need to do. So I'm not for 1 minute suggesting, this advice I'm giving you now, this advice isn't just put your home number on a business card. That would be ridiculous. Although for some people watching this, that might actually be good advice, but that's not the point. The point is, if you want to quadruple your sales to new customers, then you have to get trust. You can meet them, you can go to business networking events. It's dead easy to meet potential customers. You can just have a sales meeting, just ring them and say, can I come and see you about what my business does? Meeting's easy. Getting to know them isn't too difficult. And getting them to like you is a little bit harder, but it's still very doable. But the really hard bit is getting them to trust you. And so my tip, basically, based on what happened to Timothy, based on other people I've spoken to since, is if you want to get somebody to trust you, and this might not even be about business, this could just be about, I don't know, going on a first date or whatever, but you've got to get people to trust you. That is the hard bit. That's the really hard part of everything when you're building a relationship, whether it be a customer or whatever. To build any kind of personal relationship, the hardest part is not the meeting, the knowing, the liking. The hard part is the trusting. And just one very simple tip to get people to trust you is just give away some personal information. Give away something about yourself. So what sort of personal information can you give? Well, it could be anything. It could be about your husband or wife. It could be your family, your kids, your grandkids. It could be about your favourite football team or rugby team, whatever it is you're interested in. It could be what you're going to watch on telly tonight. But you need to share something personal with your potential customers. You need to get to know them on a really personal level, and that is where many sales visits fall down, because people give a lot of information about the product or the service, but they don't give enough personal information about themselves. And it's that personal information about yourself which is going to create trust with your potential customer. Well, the wind is playing havoc with my hair again. I really need to get my hair cut. That's something I'll get done next week if I've got time. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this really useful. I'm going back in my office now. If you have found this useful, please just do one thing for me, and that is like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. It's a massive help for me. I don't make any money out of this YouTube business other than a little bit of money from advertising. I don't actually make any money out of this. I'm doing it simply because I want to help you in your business life. My name's Darren Bugg. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.